Good morning, good morning. I wanted to talk to you today about your inner critic, the voice in your head that says you're not good enough. And I wanted to give you some strategies that will challenge this inner critic. There's no doubt that life can be hard sometimes. And the last thing you need is your inner critic taking the wheel, getting on your case about every last little thing you're trying to do. That inner critic is the voice inside your head that tells you you're not good enough. Who will people think I am? I don't have a degree. When we try to do something that stretches us, that expands our horizons, our brains freak out. And that internal voice starts ramping up. And the sad thing is, you're listening. You're listening, and a lot of what you're listening to are lies. And the sad part is that you believe them. And it's having a profound effect on how you feel and how you see yourself every day. You're buying the voice of protection and living life small. And you look at other people and think they have everything together, but they don't. So it's time to challenge your inner critic and silence its voice once and for all. So here are 6 quick strategies. Start noticing. Inner critics start off with a whisper. They don't speak out loud because the last thing they want is to be noticed in their nefarious schemes. By paying attention to what's going on in your head, you draw their lies out into the light where they can't stand. The second thing is give it a nickname. So whenever the inner critic speaks up, give it a silly name. Think to yourself things like, hey, it's Moldivort, back again to cause trouble. Blair Singer, who I was lucky enough to see in Australia, always used to say, just say thank you and move on. But by making fun of this voice, it's a whole lot harder to take seriously, wouldn't you agree? So what about giving them a voice? I know it sounds strange, but try saying out loud the negative things that your inner critic says. And by giving voice to these thoughts, you'll hear just how ridiculous they often sound. Take a negativity break. Tell your inner critic they can only come out to play at a particular time each day. And during that time, take a break and tell the inner critic to do their worst. Make sure that you set a timer for the space allowed so you don't give more time to the negativity than necessary. And sit back and let it speak its piece. And the funny thing is, most of the time you won't even remember what it was the critic had to say by the time your negativity break comes around. Even if you do, when the timer goes off, remind yourself you're done and walk away. Question everything. So, is there any truth to what your inner critic is saying? Examine the statements. Feel free to argue back. Point out the flaws in the reasoning and back it up with examples of times where you've proven those things aren't true. And lastly, just replace the words. So drop the negative words entirely and rewrite the script to turn each negative into a positive. For example, saying, I'm terrible at writing reports. This can become, I did a great job on the last report I wrote. I bet this one will be fine too. Remember, silencing your inner critic is going to take time and energy, because this kind of voice doesn't just shut up because you told them to go away once. No. You're going to have to do the work using these strategies again and again until you're finally free of that negative little voice. Once you've got it though, your world will change enormously. After all, without your critic to hold you back, you're going to be primed for success in a huge way. Well, I hope these strategies have helped, and I hope you have an awesome week. See you next time.